So the first question, introduce yourself and tell us what would make you a good candidate for Colne Valley.
Thank you. My name is Cahal Burke. I'm the Liberal Democrat candidate for Colne Valley for the election on the 8th of June. My background is in representing people and I feel I have a lot to bring to this general election, having been a councillor here in the Lindley ward since 2010. I want to be a strong voice locally and to make that voice even stronger nationally.
UK-wise first, what do you feel are the big issues?
Okay, we have a lot of big issues at the moment. For me, the biggest issue of all is Brexit and how we exit the European Union and how that deal comes about. I think that underpins everything else that we will want to do and achieve nationally, putting money into our NHS, into our schools, police and public services.
Last time the Liberal Democrats gained power, your party went back on a manifesto pledge to abolish tuition fees. 28 of your 57 MPs at the time, instead of voting to effectively triple them even, why should young people trust the Liberal Democrats this time?
Okay, that is a good question, good point. So back in 2010 there was a pledge to abolish tuition fees. Unfortunately we came third in that general election and didn't hold the power or the number of seats capable of running and having the power in government. So we had to make sacrifices in coalition, and coalition is about doing the best you can and getting as many of your policies or your pledges forward as you can. So unfortunately we didn't manage that one, but we put an awful lot of other good things forward about increasing the tax-free allowance and working for people up and down the country.
Let's take it to local level now. What do you think is the big issue, or the big issues as it were, locally?
Again, the local issues are very similar and move on to the national issues. Here we are outside Huddersfield Royal Infirmary. NHS is a big issue, one of the biggest issues that we need to deal with. The Liberal Democrats want to invest into our NHS. We have fully funded policies about how we're going to do that, fully costed up, and about how we can invest in the NHS locally, investing 32 million locally into the NHS and 13.7 into adult social care, which is a very crucial factor at the moment.
Sorry. Yeah. And another. You say when what to go? Okay. It's been said that your leader, Tim Farron's position on LGBTQ plus rights has left a lot to be desired. What's your opinion on LGBTQ plus rights?
It's all about being fair and equal and giving everybody the opportunities. None of us are any more better off or should be better than somebody else. Tim Farron has made his point quite clear. If you look at his voting record, I think you will see that that tells a different story, and that we have in fact actually been the party to lead that with equal marriage and equal rights for LGBT and all communities in society.
Right. What is your vision for the future of the NHS, which is quite apt as we're at Huddersfield Royal Infirmary talking to you?
Absolutely. So it's about being able to fund the NHS. It's been massively underfunded by the Conservatives for the last number of years, and we want to put the money that is needed into our NHS up and down the country and into saving Huddersfield Royal Infirmary. And with our plan and our proposals, we will have the money in place by being fair and open with residents in society and saying, we show you how we'll fund it. By a penny in the pound in income tax, we can achieve that. And I think people are willing, and there's a will there to do that, so they can pay for a service that we want. So social care, NHS, keeping Huddersfield Royal Infirmary is vital for us.
Let's move on to education then. Do you think that education circumstances locally can be improved, and if so, how?
Absolutely. I think there's a big need to improve education locally and nationally. We have a problem with school places locally. We have it here in my own ward in Lindley and throughout the Colne Valley constituency. That is down to Labour locally, how they achieve to make sure there's adequate school places. We've got to look at what the Conservatives want to do nationally by investing more in grammar schools. What I want to see, and what my party wants to see is a quality, high standard education for all. And we want to put the money in to be able to achieve that. Going forward, we're the only party, again, fully funded and costed to be able to put money into our schools to stop the disastrous underfunding from the Conservatives. They had a fair funding policy, which was neither fair nor was it funding. It was in reality a cut.
Yeah. Okay, so looking ahead, the greatest competition for youngsters these days is as they leave school. Do you think is enough being done, or could we improve the transition from education into employment?
Yeah, we have seen some improvements with that, with apprenticeships, and with placements and voluntary work, and I think that's crucial. I think employers want to see skilled individuals leaving school, so that transition from high school onto further education is very important. I work in the FE sector and I see the fantastic work that's taken place, getting young people out into the workplace, getting that valuable experience, it's a hands-on experience tied in with the educational side of things, so they are fully equipped with the skills they need to succeed when they go on to full-time employment.
Child poverty, it exists. What are you going to do about it?
Child poverty is something that's been addressed for many years, and many governments have tried. It's important that we set realistic figures and targets when trying to deal with child poverty. It's important that we equip families with the skills, with the knowledge. Education is very important from families' point of view, and looking back where there's a long-term effect of unemployment, and because that will link in with child poverty. So we need to invest in business and skills and all of the other factors that are needed to improve child poverty. But it's something that will take a long-term plan to achieve.
Let's go to the other end of the age scale then. Pension age, elderly welfare, end-of-life care. We don't always like to talk about it, but it needs to be discussed and something needs to be done, do you think?
Yeah, quite recently we've been talking about pensions, and the Liberal Democrats are committed to the triple lock pension. So we will look after the most elderly in society. Also with our proposals for the NHS, adult social care will be covered in that as well, where it hasn't been before and it's been drastically underfunded. So we need to do more. We've got plans in place and we need to work harder to improve the life chances and improve care for our elderly.
Public services then, libraries, sports facilities, council facilities, even possibly taking transport back into public ownership. What are your views?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of changes locally with cuts to services coming from the Conservative government making these cuts. So we are left with more money. We've got to be realistic that there is less money to use locally. The Labour Council have decided how to use that money, and I think there needs to be more of a discussion there, and we need to be more proactive in looking at other ideas and ways of keeping the public services. I've been involved in many library campaigns here in Lindley with Lindley Library, setting up a Friends of group so that we can work with trained library staff to keep the services that we have. But we've got to understand that there is less money, but we've got to work and be more proactive and working differently with people.
Thanks very much indeed. And just one last question. Why should people vote for you?
I think if we want to stop a disastrous hard Brexit that the Conservatives are pursuing, if we want to have a free and open society, we want to have and keep our public services, and we want to keep Britain in the common market, then you've got to vote for me on the 8th of June and vote Liberal Democrat.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done.